talk about how all of these overnight cues really impact us. We have our research team here with the trade setup. Nigel, Vivek and Surbhi are all in to fill us in and take us through the trade setup this morning. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. Vivek, let me come to you first. We were going through the global setup right now, and that at least looks quite positive.
Well, absolutely right. Good morning. Like you mentioned, the global handover has been quite positive, not very strong in terms of the price action, but despite that, it's a green screen across both Europe, US, as well as Asian markets today morning. US indices managed to end a 3-day losing streak, and when you're talking about European markets, they too managed to end with marginal gains, given the fact that the week prior was one where there was a lot of choppiness. Brent futures actually yesterday slipped almost 1% lower to almost $77.69 a barrel, and this is something that Indian markets will take some positive cues from. Now, coming to Indian markets yesterday opened high. The initial up move was quite strong, but what actually happened was that there was significant selling pressure from the top, and at the end of the trading session, Indian markets actually ended almost flat or close to the the flatline index itself. Now, broader markets yesterday were one that underperformed after quite a few trading sessions, and the advanced decline ratio was something that was skewed to the downside. Now, Reliance was the one that actually aided the Nifty up move, and it was a sole outperformer in terms of the other sectors that were significant laggards. Now, some important cues to keep an eye out for. Remember, the impending HDFC Bank merger is something that will have a significant impact on all of the indices. There will be changes that will be happening in tomorrow's trading session, but today you could expect some pre-positioning. So watch out for both of those names, and also watch out for the for the names that will actually be replacing them in the various indices. So LTI Mindtree that will come into the Nifty, as well as JSW Steel that will come into the Sensex.
All right, Vivek, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those cues that we should track. Let's also bring Surbhi in. She's looking at all of the individual stocks that we should have on our radar today. Surbhi, the big news, of course, on the Foxconn Vedanta partnership.
That's correct. So Vedanta says they're fully committed to its semiconductor project, and they've lined up other partners to set up India's first foundry. Next on my radar is Cartrade. Now, the company is going to acquire 100% stake of Sobek from OLX for 530 odd crores. McLeod Russell, the board has approved an agreement with Carbon Resources to monetize company's assets. Now, this proposed asset sale is a one-time settlement towards company's debt. Nazara Tech, the board has approved a fundraise of 750 crores. Tata Communication, the company has acquired remaining equity ownership of OSA Smart Sim Europe. And lastly, Sanghvi Motors is also on my radar. The company gets work orders worth 150 crores from Independent Power Products.
Hey, Surbhi, thanks a lot for taking us through that entire list of stocks. We are going to watch for these in today's trading session. Finally, let me hand it over to Nigel, who's looking at all of the cues from the futures and options space. Hi, Nigel.
Well, morning. The premium on the Nifty that started closer at around 100 points, that's down to around 50 points. So one was wondering whether or not there was some shorting on the index. But it appeared there was more amount of unwinding, because both on the Nifty futures as well as on the Nifty Bank futures, the open interest was low by around 2 to around 3%, or indicating there was more unwinding or lightening of positions getting into the earnings season. That's precisely what the FIs did as well. They unwound close to around 2,000 long contracts, and they unwound close to around 5,000, they covered close to around 5,000 short contracts. On the index option side, well, what stood out was they had bought some calls earlier. Well, they unwound that. But now, in fact, they bought some puts close to around 12,000 put contracts. On the writing side, they continue to write more calls than puts, indicating that in the near term, at least the upside appears capped. Today, though, the big trigger will be the Nifty Financial Services Index, because that plays out expiry today. It's the Tuesday, so that's why that will be in focus. And also keep an eye on HDFC Limited. It's the final time that HDFC Limited will be part of the Nifty Financial Services Index in the current form. In future, well, it will be participating by HDFC Bank, because both of them will come together. Two strikes that stood out there. The 20,000 call, well, that added close to around 30 lakh shares. The premium out there was close to around 43 rupees approximately. And on the downside, you had the 20,000 put that was fairly active as well, which brings us to the range. Well, you're just going by the premium out there, it'll be around 19,970 to around 20,150. That's a broad range on the Nifty Financial Services Index. And I've looked at the options data, and plugging those numbers in, well, since there was some writing at around the 19,300, 19,350 put on the Nifty, we're looking at a support of around 19,275. While on the upside, we did a U-turn yesterday from around 19,435. We need to break that mark for a fresh breakout. But given that the GIFT Nifty is suggesting a green start, I don't think you chase the opening. If you want to get in, you look at buying on a dip. Otherwise, in fact, you could get trapped on the upside. But stop loss in place at around that 19,275. That's going to be important. Back to you.
All right, Nigel, thanks a lot for getting us all of those cues. With that, we do need to get into a short break on the show. But up next, like we told you, Foxconn has decided not to proceed with the semiconductor partnership with Vedanta. So we're going to bring you all of the details on this story after this break.